Next, we're going to hear from Terry Hall and providing the perspective from Virginia and also for APCO.
Thanks. And I noticed that you did wait until I was getting ready to speak about slow it down a little bit because that's a problem I have as well. So I'll give it a shot, but I do respond to hand signals, David. I'm going to take, I guess I get to wear two hats here. I'm going to start off with my PSAP hat. I run a regional 911 center. It's York County, Poquoson, and Williamsburg, Virginia. We process around 325,000 calls a year. We have 14 dispatch console positions, and I'll point out that about 70% of the country, the average size of a PSAP is less than 12 positions. So we're kind of, on the high side of average. They're a lot larger, and they're a lot smaller as well. We have considered ourselves very proactive in Hampton Roads. We like to do things and deploy as a region. So I've been a guinea pig from time to time and have produced several first office applications out of our PSAP. And in listening to the presentations thus far, it goes to mind that we have a lack of standards. We have a lack of the way that we do things. I've just spent $357,000 doing a CAD-to-CAD interface with a neighboring jurisdiction, and we're pumping our 911 calls over our own wireless network. And that's not done too much either, but look at the amount of money we had to spend on a CAD-to-CAD interface, and these things should not happen that way. When we look at the lack of standards we have, even the way that we do our databases, I remember in Hampton Roads when we started mapping, we had all the wireless carriers in, and we had their third-party vendors, and we had maps, and we had little tripods drawn on circles, and we each had to sit down and initial where to send those calls to. And I can't help but reflect to that when I look at the way we do it today. Most of the directors have parlayed that off to one of the staff members who pretty much sends an email back to an email they responded saying that looks good. And 42% of the calls that I answer in my PSAP, 42%, are delivered with Phase II. 42%. I just wonder if it would be higher if we were still at the director level signing off on the 45% that are coming in that are not Phase II and that are coming in as Phase I, and several of those go to the wrong PSAP. So I think this partnership that everyone has alluded to is very important to us. Of those 45%, after we auto-rebid, and I'm a proponent, I strongly suggest auto-rebid, after rebidding, over half of those come in and give us a Phase II in 20 seconds or less. Now, like my counterparts, I want to share two stories with you. One of them has to do with indoor accuracy location that we received a call from someone in a very structurally sound building that was being brutally raped and beaten. Dispatch had an open 911 call, and listen to this going on in the background. The closest accuracy that we could get was about between a half and 3/4 of a mile, and it was a very densely populated area. Now, the dispatchers used all of the tools that they had in their hands, and 32 minutes later, they were able to find out through sharing a series of information and dispatcher intuition, and was able to intervene and were able to apprehend the subject as he was attempting further beating. The second one had to do with a 911 call from a female who reported a call on the Colonial Parkway that she had taken an overdose and wanted us to know next of kin when they found her body. Well, she called on 911. It plotted within 3 feet of where she was, and when our medics and law enforcement responded on scene, she was unconscious and had a very good ending. So I can't speak high enough about accuracy and our need for accuracy. The lady that was brutally raped, she was on the second floor of a building, and even when they entered on the wrong floor. The other thing I want to have a very positive comment about is the wireless carriers and the evolution that they've done. I remember back in the day doing call traces and trying to find someone. Every day in every center across the country, we're calling all of our wireless partners saying, we need to do a call track on this person, Alzheimer's, missing, endangered, etc. And I would say that's improved probably 100% over where it was 5 years ago. So kudos for that. Now, that also tells me that there's some accuracy available that they're using when they can go in and ping those phones that maybe isn't being afforded the same accuracy ability to us in the PSAP. I would strongly encourage looking at that as well. Texting to 911 has brought a new light on it. when there's a session open and we're doing an SMS text to 911 test for Verizon, and once there's a session open, we can ping it as much as we want to. And I'm going to tell you, you can watch these people go from across the country as long as you kept the session open. I'm very impressed with what some of the future evolving technologies are going to bring. But I think that when we look at interoperability, I think we need to look at standards. Now, I had initially reported when I talked to Lisa about what we're doing on the East Coast and how the calls were coming in. I didn't think it was as bad as it was until I looked at the stats. But what did help us out was the fact that pretty much we auto rebid. And the auto rebid takes us out of that 42% percentile and puts us into in the 70s. 74% of the calls that I answer in my PSAP are wireless calls. So I believe that you should rebid. Now, putting on the APCO hat, and we filed this in our comments, we need to truly look at indoor accuracy. Everyone has spoke before, and I believe everyone will speak after, about indoor accuracy and location. It is not a nicety to be able to do this. It is a requirement. It's a requirement for public safety to be able to do it. I remember back in the 2008, statistics were put out by CTIA that said that 82% of the people that buy cell phones bought them for safety. I would venture to say that right now 100% of the people buy them and have that safety component in there as well. So we must bring this up to standards, and Z coordinates are a must. Again, I don't have real super tall structures in mind, but I visit a lot of places that do, and we strongly encourage that. Also, in 2008, as part of APCO Project Locate, we started a standard that put together a standard not only for rebidding, but how often you should do it and so on. I would encourage following that standard, a team approach with our wireless carriers, and also continue to support CISRC and the great work that CISRC is doing. You know, they need to not only develop solutions, but they need to put together benchmarking and things that we can use as a goal. And thank you for the time.